What I'm about to share may shock you. If you're watching this right now, it's because something major is happening in your life. You didn't just challenge the system. You went head to head with billionaires who believed they were untouchable, members of a secretive elite that manipulates power behind the scenes. They underestimated you, and that was their biggest mistake. Through patience, strategy, and relentless action, you exposed what they wanted hidden, forced the truth into the open, and shifted the balance. Now international media can't stop covering this story. Their network is breaking down, and the people who once controlled everything are scrambling to respond. This is proof that one focused individual can disrupt powerful systems, turn pressure into leverage, and win by refusing to back down. Before we go any further, pause this video, hit the like button, subscribe to help us reach 5,000 subscribers, and comment Mr. Ledger to show you're locked in. Because if you stay until the end, you'll understand exactly how underestimation becomes your greatest advantage. They sat at the top for so long that they forgot what it felt like to be challenged. Surrounded by money, influence, and echo chambers of agreement, they convinced themselves they were invincible. To them, power was permanent and resistance was impossible. You were invisible in their eyes, just another face in the crowd, another voice they assumed would never rise above the noise. What they failed to understand was this: history has never been changed by the comfortable. It's always been rewritten by those who were underestimated, ignored, and pushed aside. While they were busy protecting their wealth, you were sharpening your awareness. While they laughed behind closed doors, you were quietly learning how the system truly worked. That was their first and biggest mistake. They didn't see you as a threat until it was too late. And by the time they realized you weren't backing down, the ground beneath them had already started to crack. Behind polished speeches and charity headlines existed a darker reality, one built on secret deals, manipulation, and control. Decisions that shaped millions of lives were being made in private rooms, far away from public eyes. This network thrived on silence and fear, believing secrecy was the ultimate shield. They relied on complexity to stay protected. Shell companies, backroom agreements, layers upon layers of deception, designed so no single person could ever see the full picture. And for a long time, that strategy worked. People felt powerless, confused, and disconnected from the truth. But arrogance always leaves fingerprints. Every system built on greed eventually exposes itself. You noticed the patterns, followed the trails, and began connecting dots they assumed no one ever would. Their hidden world wasn't as invisible as they believed. They underestimated you because they measure strength in money, not mindset. To them, influence only came with titles and bank accounts. You didn't fit their definition of power, so they dismissed you, called you harmless, insignificant, easy to ignore. But being underestimated is a dangerous gift. It gives you space to move, to think, to prepare without interference. While they were distracted by maintaining appearances, you were focused on understanding their weaknesses. You didn't rush. You didn't react emotionally. You observed. And in that quiet space, you grew stronger. You became more strategic. You turned their dismissal into your greatest advantage, knowing that when the moment came, they wouldn't see the blow until it landed. Information is the one currency that scares the powerful more than anything else. Money can buy silence, but truth has a way of slipping through cracks. You understood that real power isn't loud, it's precise. One document, one message, one verified fact can shake an empire. You didn't spread rumors, you shared truth, carefully, strategically. Each piece of information was checked, confirmed, and timed perfectly. You respected the weight of what you held because you knew lives, reputations, and futures were tied to it. And when the first leak surfaced, everything changed. The balance of power shifted. Suddenly, they weren't controlling the narrative anymore. You were. They believed their secrets were buried too deep to ever be uncovered, locked behind legal walls, encrypted systems, and loyal insiders. But secrets rot when hidden too long, and rot eventually surfaces. When the truth came out, it wasn't just shocking. It was undeniable. The public didn't see theories anymore. They saw evidence. Patterns became clear. Stories lined up. What was once dismissed as impossible became painfully real. And with every revelation, their image fractured. Trust evaporated. Influence weakened. The very things they used to control others became the reason they lost control themselves. Once the media caught on, there was no turning back. What started as whispers turned into headlines. Local coverage exploded into international attention. News outlets, journalists, and investigators began pulling the same thread, and the whole fabric unraveled. The spotlight is unforgiving. Under scrutiny, lies collapse quickly. Every attempt they made to deny, distract, or downplay only fueled the fire. The more they spoke, the worse it looked. And there you stood, not chasing attention, not seeking fame, but watching the truth finally speak for itself. The world was listening now. For the first time, they panicked. Meetings turned frantic. Lawyers worked overtime. Statements contradicted each other. The calm confidence they once displayed vanished, replaced by desperation. Money couldn't buy credibility anymore. Influence couldn't erase evidence. Their usual escape routes closed one by one. The same people who once dictated outcomes were now reacting, not leading. Watching the powerful scramble was proof of one undeniable truth. When control is built on lies, exposure is fatal. You didn't rush to speak when emotions ran high. You didn't celebrate too early. Silence became your discipline, not your weakness. While others shouted, you planned. While chaos spread, you stayed grounded. Every move was intentional. Every pause was calculated. You understood that timing could mean the difference between impact and failure. This wasn't about revenge. It was about results. And that patience paid off. When you finally acted, your voice carried weight because it was backed by truth, restraint, and purpose. You weren't born powerful. You weren't handed influence. You started as someone who simply refused to look away. That choice, to stay curious, to stay brave, changed everything. Extraordinary impact doesn't come from extraordinary beginnings. It comes from consistent courage, from showing up when it's uncomfortable, from standing firm when walking away would be easier. You proved that ordinary people can do extraordinary things when they stop believing the lie that they are powerless. Your actions lit a spark. Others who felt afraid began to speak. Whistleblowers stepped forward. Journalists dug deeper. People who once felt alone realized they weren't. Courage spreads faster than fear when someone goes first. Your stand gave permission to others to stand too. And together, that collective voice became impossible to silence. This was never just about one person. It was about awakening many. Once seen as untouchable, they became examples, symbols of what happens when power goes unchecked. Their influence didn't disappear overnight, but it weakened beyond repair. Reputations take decades to build and seconds to shatter, and once broken, they never fully recover. The illusion of invincibility was gone forever. They fell not because someone attacked them, but because the truth stood up. This wasn't chaos. It wasn't destruction. It was intelligence, patience, and moral clarity. You didn't need force. You needed facts. You didn't need anger. You needed accuracy. That's the most powerful kind of victory, one that leaves no room for denial, one that changes systems instead of just faces. You showed the world that real strength is disciplined, thoughtful, and unshakable. The message was clear. No matter how high someone sits, truth can reach them. No vault is unbreakable. No lie is permanent. This wasn't a warning. It was a reminder. Power should fear accountability, and those who abuse it will eventually face consequences. The world watched, learned, and remembered. Power no longer looks the same after this. It's not just about wealth or status anymore. It's about transparency, integrity, and public trust. You changed how people see influence. You showed that systems can be challenged, and that silence is not the only option. The rules didn't just bend, they were rewritten. This story ends with proof. Proof that determination outlasts money. Proof that patience defeats arrogance. Proof that one focused individual can shift the balance of power. You didn't just expose a system, you inspired belief. Belief that change is possible. Belief that courage still matters. And that belief will outlive every billionaire who thought they were untouchable. For too long, they built walls around power, convinced no one could ever climb them. They counted on fear, tradition, and silence to keep control. But walls are only as strong as the belief in them, and you didn't believe. You saw cracks where they saw strength, and opportunity where they saw security. With every step you took, the illusion of invincibility began to crumble. You challenged assumptions that had held entire systems in place for decades. Every small victory, the leaks, the exposures, the conversations, was another hammer strike on their gilded cage. By daring to defy the impossible, you became proof that chains aren't eternal. They are only unbreakable if no one dares to break them. They wanted you afraid. Their wealth, influence, and shadow networks were designed to intimidate. But fear, when acknowledged and transformed, becomes the most potent energy of all. You didn't let it freeze you, you let it ignite you. Every sleepless night, every whisper of doubt, every moment of uncertainty was a spark. You harnessed it, shaping it into relentless drive. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's choosing to move forward in spite of it. And as you pushed, as you pressed forward, you inspired a silent army of others to rise. Fear stopped being a weapon of the elite. It became your fuel. They had resources, armies of lawyers, PR teams, and advisors. You had something far more powerful, clarity of purpose. You didn't try to match them in size. You outmaneuvered them in strategy. Precision replaced brute force. Patience replaced haste. Every action was calculated, every risk measured. They reacted. You anticipated. They tried to divide and distract you. You stayed focused on the endgame. While they relied on fear to maintain control, you relied on intellect, observation, and determination. This is a timeless truth. The smallest, sharpest mind can outthink the largest, most powerful hand. You proved it. One act of courage can create ripples that reach far beyond imagination. The decision to speak, to investigate, to expose, set off waves of change. Every person who saw your example began to question, to act, to believe that change was possible. Communities that had felt powerless began to organize. Individuals who thought they were alone found strength in solidarity. Your bravery became a spark, and sparks ignite fires that no one can fully control. Never underestimate a single determined choice. It can alter history in ways even giants cannot foresee. Truth is not passive, it's active. It cuts through deception, illuminates lies, and dismantles illusions. You wielded truth like a master craftsman wields a blade, careful, precise, and unstoppable. The power of truth isn't in shouting, it's in revealing what cannot be denied. Evidence, facts, and clarity have a weight that influence and wealth cannot match. Once laid bare, lies crumble effortlessly. You showed the world that when aligned with courage, truth is not just a weapon, it's a revolution. Every obstacle you faced, every attempt to silence you, every betrayal could have been an endpoint, but you turned every setback into a lesson, every defeat into fuel. Losses weren't failures. They were maps guiding you to smarter moves. They underestimated your resilience. Every time they pushed, you adapted. Every time doors closed, you found windows. Every time they thought they had won, you discovered a new path forward. Setbacks are not walls. They are staircases. And you climbed higher with every challenge. They relied on invisibility, the idea that ordinary people couldn't see, couldn't understand, couldn't act. But you saw, you dissected, you revealed the hidden gears of their machinery. Names, contracts, decisions, they all surfaced under your scrutiny. The invisible became visible. The untouchable became accountable. And as their hidden empire was exposed, ordinary people felt the exhilarating truth. Power is only as untouchable as the silence that surrounds it. In revealing the hidden, you gave the world clarity, and clarity sparks action. They believed influence came with money, titles, and fear. You proved it comes from courage, clarity, and impact. Every person who followed your lead did so because they trusted your purpose, not your status. Influence earned this way is lasting. It doesn't crumble when fortune fades or when power shifts. It thrives because it is rooted in authenticity and integrity, qualities money cannot buy. You rewrote the definition of true power. It belongs to those who act, not those who amass. While they flaunted their dominance, you watched. While they assumed control, you studied. Silent observation became your greatest ally. You noticed patterns, weaknesses, and opportunities that those obsessed with appearances missed entirely. Patience and awareness are underestimated weapons. They allow you to strike with precision rather than reaction. You transformed quiet vigilance into unstoppable momentum. In a world obsessed with noise, silence can be revolutionary. There were moments of doubt, moments when it felt like the world was against you, moments when every force, visible or hidden, tried to break your spirit, and yet you kept going, alone, if necessary. This is the mark of true courage, not the absence of fear, but persistence despite isolation. Giants fall when met with persistence. Movements ignite when fueled by solitary determination. Your journey proves that even one unwavering individual can shift the course of history. Your fight was not just personal. It awakened collective power. Others found their voice, took action, and realized that unity amplifies impact. A single act of bravery can catalyze movements. A single stand can create momentum. Communities that once felt powerless found strength. Systems that seemed immovable trembled, and the message was clear. Courage is contagious, and the collective is unstoppable when awakened. You sparked a revolution, not through force, but through inspiration. They believed arrogance was untouchable. They believed their overconfidence would shield them forever. And yet, arrogance is brittle. It collapses under scrutiny. You turned their pride into their vulnerability. Every assumption they made about your limits became a weapon in your hands. Their contempt blinded them to your strategy, and that blindness became their undoing. You showed the world that humility, intelligence, and persistence can defeat even the proudest of adversaries. True legacy isn't inherited, it's forged through courage and purpose. Your actions won't be forgotten. The systems you exposed, the people you inspired, the truths you revealed, they form a legacy far more enduring than wealth or titles. Legacy is created by those willing to act when others stand by. Every choice, every exposure, every risk you took built something bigger than yourself, a blueprint for courage and accountability. History remembers doers, not dreamers, and you acted. The lesson is simple. Persistence outlasts privilege. Money can fade, influence can shift. But persistence, relentless, determined, focused, cannot be bought or stolen. It endures. Every giant you faced, every obstacle you overcame, every secret you revealed proves that persistence is the ultimate equalizer. When someone refuses to quit, even the most powerful tremble. You are living proof that persistence is mightier than the mightiest. In the end, it wasn't armies. It wasn't fortune. It was a single mind that dared to challenge the world, a mind that refused to be silenced, a mind that saw clearly, acted courageously, and persisted relentlessly. This is the ultimate motivation. One determined person, armed with vision, courage, and strategy, can disrupt empires, inspire millions, and prove that no force is absolute. Your story shows the world that triumph is not measured by numbers, wealth, or status. It's measured by unwavering will and relentless action. They built empires on the belief that power is untouchable. But invincibility is always an illusion. Every wall they raised, every shield they forged, every untouchable throne they sat upon had a crack, a flaw they refused to see. And you saw it. By questioning assumptions, challenging norms, and refusing to bow, you proved that no fortress can withstand courage and clarity. Every revelation, every truth exposed, made their illusion crumble. You showed the world that no one is untouchable. True strength lies in resilience, intelligence, and audacity, not in money or status. Facing titans is never easy. They hoped your courage would falter, that pressure would break you. But courage isn't the absence of fear. It's moving forward despite it. Every step you took against overwhelming odds inspired others to follow. You transformed fear into action, anxiety into resolve, and doubt into fuel. The world witnessed that courage, even from one person, can topple giants when paired with focus and purpose. This is proof that true bravery doesn't need approval. It needs conviction, and conviction can change the course of history. They hoarded secrets, believing knowledge alone granted control. But knowledge without action is just potential. You turned every insight, every piece of evidence, every uncovered fact into a weapon for change. Each revelation you shared cut through deception, exposed hypocrisy, and shifted the balance of power. You wielded intelligence with precision, showing that the mind can outmatch wealth and influence. Your story teaches that knowledge combined with courage is unstoppable, and it's a power no empire can ignore. Doubt is the shadow that follows those who challenge the status quo. They doubted you, society doubted you, even moments of self-doubt tried to hold you back. But rising despite doubt is where legends are born. You didn't wait for validation. You acted. You proved that skepticism is a tool for growth, not a cage. Every small victory compounded, and soon doubt became irrelevant. The lesson is timeless. Those who rise in the face of doubt don't just succeed, they redefine what's possible. They believe their hidden dealings made them untouchable. But secrets are only strong until they are revealed. You turned their hidden truths into unstoppable leverage, exposing patterns they thought were invisible. Every revelation was carefully chosen, every leak precisely timed, ensuring that what was once their shield became their downfall. You taught the world that transparency is the ultimate weapon against arrogance. Strength isn't about what you hide. It's about what you reveal when it matters most. Persistence is not glamorous, but it is decisive. While they relied on fear and wealth to maintain control, you relied on relentless focus and continuous action. Small steps, repeated every day, created a momentum they could not stop. Persistence is not just action. It's belief made tangible. Every obstacle you encountered became fuel. Every delay an opportunity to sharpen strategy. This proves that relentless effort from one committed individual can rival the might of empires. Your actions were never about fleeting glory. Every choice, every exposure, every risk ignited a wave of courage in others. People who felt powerless began to speak, act, and unite. Movements are born when one person dares to show the path. Your courage became a lighthouse, guiding countless others toward action, proving that one brave soul can inspire millions. Change is never a solo act. It's a spark that ignites a collective flame. They had written your story before you acted. They underestimated, dismissed, and mocked. But the power of destiny lies in defiance. You refused to fit their script and instead authored your own narrative. Every challenge you faced was a page, every triumph a chapter. By refusing to be predictable, you redefined what the impossible truly looks like. This is a reminder. Expectations are cages, but defiance is freedom, and it shapes destiny. They thrived in secrecy, thinking invisibility was safety. But invisibility gives perspective, patience, and clarity. You moved quietly, observed carefully, and struck strategically, transforming what they assumed was weakness into your greatest strength. Power is not always loud. Sometimes it's silent, deliberate, and unstoppable. You proved that invisibility, when paired with strategy, can defeat visibility backed by arrogance. True invincibility comes from mastery of self, not dominance over others. Patience is often mistaken for passivity, but true patience is strategic. You didn't rush. You waited, observed, calculated, and then acted with precision. Each move was deliberate, each decision grounded in foresight. The giants around you acted impulsively, blinded by arrogance. You acted intentionally, demonstrating that timing is as powerful as action. Your story proves that victory favors those who wait with purpose, not those who strike blindly. Victory is not measured by destruction, but by truth. You didn't aim to harm for revenge. You exposed systems, not people. You illuminated deception, dismantled secrecy, and allowed justice to unfold naturally. Courage is not just in confrontation, it's in integrity. You showed the world that meaningful impact comes from courage rooted in principle, not anger. This is the ultimate lesson. The strongest victories are moral as well as strategic. One of your greatest achievements isn't what you uncovered. It's what you inspired. Others saw you act, and suddenly, their own fear transformed into possibility. Leadership is contagious, and you led by example. When someone chooses courage, they give others permission to do the same. Movements ripple outward from a single spark, and your spark became unstoppable. Empowerment is not taught, it's demonstrated, and your actions became a living lesson. The system relied on confusion to maintain control, but clarity is a weapon of its own. You navigated the chaos, dissected complexity, and turned confusion into strategy. While they relied on intimidation, you relied on understanding. And in every moment of apparent disorder, your clarity created opportunities that no one else saw. This proves that calm, clarity, and focus can conquer even the most chaotic environments. Solitude is often feared, but it is where true power is cultivated. Alone, you reflected, planned, and refined your strategy. While others sought approval or alliances, you built an unshakable foundation within yourself. Solitude sharpened your vision, strengthened your will, and honed your focus. It transformed potential into decisive action. This shows that sometimes the most powerful moves are made when no one is watching. Ultimately, your story is proof that one voice, clear, brave, and unwavering, can move mountains. One person's courage, persistence, and integrity inspired millions, disrupted empires, and rewrote what is possible. History remembers those who dare, not those who conform. You became a living testament to the power of determination, showing that even against overwhelming odds, one person can spark unstoppable change. Your voice became more than sound. It became a movement, a force, a legacy.